But now we're also seeing settlements in southern Ukraine emerge, places where the population has been either denuded or is very, very thin. And we're seeing large numbers of Jews establish themselves in new communities. In fact, we have something on the internet that talks about the appearance of police around a community in southern Ukraine wearing American-like police uniforms who are stopping anyone from going into the area who is not Jewish.
The rise of new Jewish settlements in Ukraine during the war, reportedly under American protection, is a striking geopolitical signal. On one hand, it reflects a revival of Jewish life in a land where their history spans over 1,000 years. On the other, the timing and U.S. involvement suggest far more than cultural restoration. Building communities amid conflict is about staking long-term claims. For Ukraine, this strengthens ties with Israel, the Jewish diaspora, and Washington. For the U.S., protecting settlers shows an intent to shape Ukraine's post-war identity, embedding Western influence in its cultural fabric. For Russia, however, such moves will likely be seen as proof of Western encroachment. In reality, this development is less about heritage and more about power, protection, and who defines Ukraine's future after the war. This is also a demographic opportunity. With massive population displacement due to the war, there may be available land, housing, and infrastructure that can be adapted for new communities.
Isn't there an argument to be made that the end result is now certain? Why should another fill in the blank? You can tell me better than I can give you. Thousands Ukrainian young men die before the inevitable happens.
I think that's ongoing, although, we've seen that 13,000 Ukrainian men between the ages of 18 and 25, just a little over a week ago, were suddenly released and allowed to cross the border from Ukraine into Poland, which was a rather strange development. But now we're also seeing settlements in southern Ukraine emerge, places where the population has been either denuded or is very, very thin. And we're seeing large numbers of Jews establish themselves in new communities. In fact, we have something on the internet that talks about the appearance of police around a community in southern Ukraine wearing American-like police uniforms who are stopping anyone from going into the area who is not Jewish. And the people that wanted to go in there were Americans, but obviously they were Christians. They were halted, turned around, and sent away. We've always been hearing about this desire to create another greater Israel in parts of Ukraine, where at one point you had large numbers of Jews before the Second World War that were concentrated in places like Ukraine and part of Poland and southern Belarusia. This is very odd. Is this part of the larger plan that's bankrolled by people like Larry Fink and others to create this? Is this an extension of Israel as it is today? I have no idea. But needless to say, I thought it was very odd to find a police force that looked like they were the New Jersey State Police and insisting that if you weren't a Jew, you couldn't go into the area. I thought that was very odd. I don't know what's going on, but clearly the numbers of Ukrainian men are at an all-time low.